Welcome to our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically, Tuesday, October 17th, 2023. I want to announce that this week is National Local Government Week, and I want to thank all of our municipal staff, both inside and outside, for the jobs they do. Very much appreciated. I also want to give recognition to Certificate of Appreciation is proudly presented to all ECE and childcare workers in Montague Township for ECE and Childcare Worker Appreciation Day 2023, which is today. And I'm very proud of our residents that are in this occupation as well. So thank you very much. A reminder that the Montague Forget-Me-Not Club are hosting a ham dinner this Sunday, October 22nd. Contact the Forget-Me-Not Club for tickets. Our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located, this meeting is being held, is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I'll have a moment of silence, please. Now our adoption of our minutes, our agenda, moved by Councillor Bass, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated October 17th, 2023 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? That's carried. Our disclosure of interest now or anytime during the meeting. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated October 3rd, 2023 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising of our previous minutes? So I'll go right into our delegation from our Firth and Smith Falls District Hospital. Margaret Helma, please.
Yeah, and if you just press the button, it should turn on there.
I feel like I could probably do it without the microphone, but that's nice. Technical support. That's it.
The bottom, red button.
I'm stepping down.
It might be dead. Is it dead?
Well, there we go. Well, thank you very much. It's nice to see the demographics of your council here. It's lovely to have little ones here. So thank you. Again, thank you for allowing me to speak to you tonight. I'm actually with the Firth and Smith Falls District Hospital Foundation. So we do have, it's a little separate, but we do work for the hospital. We're the fundraising arms for the hospital. And I feel that you have probably had a delegation from the hospital in the past, but you've never had me. So we're going to move forward on that.
It said foundation. I missed that word. Sorry.
That's okay, because we're a little separate, but we all work together. So thank you. Thank you. Do I have to do that next slide thing?
No, you
too?
can do it on the space bar.
Don't get me involved.
No. Thanks, because I hate doing that. Right? So, oh, okay, this is great. Everyone is different. So what I would like to just sort of start off with tonight is we're basically a nonprofit organization and we raise funds for the hospital. The government does not cover funds or any equipment that comes into the hospital. So everything that you see when you step into the emergency room, everyone has paid for. We fundraise diligently to get that equipment into the hospital for the best care for everybody within our community. So a little bit different of how our asks kind of come about, and that's basically what we do. So we really rely on our community to support our local hospital. If I go too fast, please tell me to stop. As for the slide, our MRI is here. It's ready to go. We're going to be doing testing coming up in the next couple of weeks. Live patients will be coming, well, they are live, but you know what I mean? They're going to be doing appointments starting early November. So it's here. It's ready to go. The suite looks fabulous. It's not paid for. So we have a 3-year campaign that's just started for us, and we are fundraising diligently over the next little bit. Our MRI is just a little bit more detailed testing and imaging testing that uses the magnetic field. It produces the 3D images, organ structures inside your body. So the left-hand shot is an X-ray and the MRI is a lot cleaner, a lot easier for the doctors to diagnose what's happening. We had stories, thanks to this campaign, that we've been able to speak with the community. And we had one member that came in, he had prostate cancer, was being diagnosed, and died.
It died.
So what happened was when he went in to get the testing and starting chemotherapy, he was sent down to Ottawa for an MRI, and during that image, they picked up that he had an aneurysm in his heart. We weren't able to proceed with the chemo at that time. They had to fix the heart first. If he did not have that procedure, he probably would have died because of the chemotherapy with that aneurysm. So it is a fabulous tool and one that we are really proud to have in our community at this point. We have the MRI covers everything internal. It covers the whole body. If you've got any brain injuries, any cord injuries, bones, joints, it just gives a better imaging of the injury that you would have. So it is a great test that you may not see it, so it does help. Why do we need an MRI? Our big push is we want to keep care close to home. We don't want to see any patients having to go to Ottawa or Kingston or anywhere else that they're going right now for those tests. It really does affect family health. It does affect the patient's health. They're anxious already to go down there, and it's time. Actually, it's one of my colleagues. She's 29 years old. She's had 3 different MRIs, and it has really affected her life as having young children and having to reassess and having to look after her family outside of the area and get people to look after the child. It also brings in physicians. We have great physicians in our community. This new diagnostic equipment is going to really help us retain physicians and bring staff in. Wait times is a huge thing too. We're here to basically try and make it as easy and comfortable for the patients and for the residents of our community. And that's one of the reasons why we were successful in getting this MRI. Okay, right here in Smith Falls. I don't want to say how fast I was driving coming from Smith Falls to here, but it's a very short jaunt from the township to here. So it just fits with the footprint within the hospital. We do have the 2 sites, but the Smith Falls site is a little bit larger, and they were able to accommodate that because of the magnet. It's very, very heavy. It can't sit on the top floor of the hospital. It's in basement. So our cost breakdown is 6.1 million to bring this to the community. 4.1 is basically the cost of the MRI unit, and the renovation cost is 2 million. That room that this magnet is solid copper. Everything is in there, so it's very safe for everybody that's going in there. And we started out at 3 million when we started this practice back in 2017. Costs have kind of changed, and now we're looking at 6.1. Very happy to say that things have been moving along. We've got a great project manager on this, and our milestones have been met. The RFP for this went in July 2022. 2022. The actual application for our MRI, creating government to even say this is a community where we would like to house it, was done in 2017. So it's not anything that is just sort of that came about very quickly. It's one that has been in the works for quite some time. So I don't think I need to read through all of the guidelines here for you, whatever, but our first patient that's going to be scanned is going to be November. Like I mentioned, our campaign is a 6 million campaign over the next 3 years. Some images of the MRI. It's really cool if you drive by. This left-hand photo is in the front on Elmsley Street, and they literally dug a hole underneath the cafeteria. And the magnet that's on the right was kind of the gentleman that was operating the crane. I was more enticed with how he was doing this to get that magnet into that basement and that whole project itself actually. So it came in, it's on rollers, it's wheeled down, and this is the corridor downstairs. And if any of you have been down in the Smith Falls Hospital for bone density or x-rays or whatever, it's in that same area, basically the whole area for downstairs in the basement. So groundbreaking was June 2023, and the magnet was here September 7th. So Like I said, it's here, it's not going anywhere. We're at 1.6 million to date. We still have a long way to go, and what we said, we're gonna start a little plus a little equals a lot, so. I know Allison and I were back and forth because there was a conversation as far as the core campaign. And has this project, is it going to county to ask for funds? No, it is not. This is a standalone project. The foundation is managing and supporting the hospital, absolutely. But we are not going to the county. We are going to the municipalities that have not participated in that core campaign and basically doing the same ask with them, because we really want to give you that opportunity for your residents to be part of this project. And it's one that people are talking about, and I think it's going to benefit everybody in our community. So with a 3-year ask, what I would like you to consider, and I know you have lots of things on your plate for sure, but what I'd like you to consider is to be part of this project and kind of back your residents and invest within our local healthcare and within our community. So it's a $60,000 ask, multiple year commitment for 24, 25, 26. And I just broke it down for numbers that I could kind of think of, because those numbers are so almost out of reach for a lot of people. But we went back and looked, and from your 2021 census, you had 3,900 approximately folks that live in your catchment area, and it breaks down to $15.33 over the 3 years. So $5.11 per person per year to be part of this and really support our keeping healthcare close to home. So it's a consideration that I would like you to kind of think about. And if you have any other questions, I'm more than happy to answer. It's kind of the Cole's notes, because I know you're all busy, and it was 10 minutes. So I don't even know if I made the 10-minute mark. So.
Is this, it's gonna be used locally, or is it something that's gonna start off locally and then people from further areas come here and start using it?
That's a great question, because we've had that a lot. So what happens with the progress of this is you will be triaged, basically. So whatever injury that you might have goes to the doctors that are looking at your MRIs. You have to go in and even if, let's just pull Ottawa, if there's somebody that's coming in from Ottawa, I don't want to belittle it, but if it's for like not a minor, like it's a minor thing, obviously the more need is going to be moved up. It's the same as when you go in for a CAT scan, or if you're going in for any other surgeries, those patients are triaged within the people that can determine what the need is. So will our residents get priority treatment? I think that's kind of like the bottom line of
That's
the
what
ask
people
with
are
the ask,
asking me.
right? So it's based on the need. And I'm probably not the one. I'm happy to, direct you to the radiologist that would be doing it, but they have a really defined list that they go through, that they determine where you will be. So if it's an emergency, absolutely.
That's been the biggest question I have, has to be interesting. We don't mind contributing something, but we don't want to get there, and every time we need it, we can't meet it, we can't use it.
That's right.
It's everybody else.
Yeah, and I don't think it's,
the biggest thing.
I don't think it's set up like a drive-through by any means. I mean, like I said, it's based on the need of what's happening, and they do a great job in assessing where you would stand on that. You're welcome.
So the big thing about Smith Falls and Perth Hospital has been the convenience and the speed of being able to go in and get triaged for surgeries and everything else. Hospital, like everything else, is a business. This is going to draw more people there. How is the speed of service going to be now that we have more people that will be wanting to come?
More services. That's a great question, and I
The
think,
concern we're getting right now
Yeah.
is that business is gonna be better. The hospital will be used more, that people won't get the service that they've been getting over the last couple of years.
yeah, and I think that's a valid question. I know for what they're doing right now as far as the MRI project goes, they are hoping to see 3,000 patients this year. So based on those numbers, if there's more that's coming in, they may extend the hours of operation. All those hours of operation and the techs and the physicians that are there, that money comes from the government. So our hospital has to prove that the need is here, that we need more time. So they are watching it, you know, left, right, and center as far as this MRI project is going and making sure that our patients get it. As far as the ER wait times and such, I really can't speak to that because I don't have where we're at. Like, I know there has been a backlog for services. Hopefully we get past this COVID element and things get back to normal.
Yeah, because I think Perth was closed down a lot last year. Actually, I think, I know it was closed down a lot last year. During the weekends,
Yeah.
during the evenings,
Yeah.
because I have a few friends that are nurses there.
Right,
So they were closed and because of lack of staffing.
absolutely. You know, we're not alone. Like, we're not standing alone with that. So, I know Michael Cohen, our CEO of the hospital, you know, patients come first. And the quality of care, and if we don't have the nursing staff, you're not gonna put patients on the floor if they're not gonna be involved.
Thank you for coming. This is good. It does for the importance of what we are getting at our hospital. I guess, I mean, the fundraising is becoming more and more difficult. I'm assuming it's one of the biggest challenges, I guess.
We've had our challenge with this campaign mainly because when we did find out about it, just to go back a little bit, so February 2021, the GWM Foundation and the Perth and Smith Falls Community Foundation amalgamated. So now we have the Perth and Smith Falls District Hospital Fund, never fits on a line, but we've amalgamated that way. So we know we've got one hospital, one foundation, two sites. It's been complementary in the fact that we now can do a little bit more outreach. So we're expanding that a little bit. COVID also had its barriers with us getting out and getting in front of this campaign because we couldn't meet like this. Or be out in the community to pitch what was coming. So there have been challenges. What I've always said, and I've been doing this a fair amount of years, is we always like to be one of the three charities of choice within the community. Everyone is giving because of some emotional ties, whatever that's coming here. We all need the hospital. For us, it's one of the economic drivers for our community that we've got people moving to the area. The communities are growing. They need a hospital. If you don't have a hospital, they're not gonna, you know, between hospitals and schools, you know, why come? We've got great physicians, we've got great staff. But you're right, it is a tough, and we're trying to break down the ask. Because when we first got, we made 6.1 million in 3 years, we kind of went, you know, it is a lot of money. And right now, as far as economics go and people are, you know, struggling, trying to get food on the table, it is a lot of an ask. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to break it down just and not come out with an oh my gosh number, to be very honest with you. I think I just really would like you to understand the importance and give you an opportunity to maybe participate with this because it's, we need your support. We really do need your support and we need everyone's support with this. So, somebody had said to me, well, it's, you know, cheaper than a Tim Hortons coffee, sorry, but it's cheaper than Starbucks coffee. So I mean, and it's local. So it is a hard ask.
It is like from the local government for sure. I mean, like it's a great breakdown for sure. I mean, I love that everybody out there is like, it's only going to cost $5. If everybody chipped in $5
That's right.
in all of our communities,
Yeah.
we hit those goals, right? So it's the tricky one is when we give it is it's coming from the, you know, it's not a person donating it, it's we're taking the taxpayer money to do that. So
That's right.
there's a trick with that too as well. So I mean, we want to be cognizant of that side of it. We want our hospitals here. We want people to donate today, to donate to our hospitals. We want to do that. We also see that there's probably a funding problem, the way that the Ontario government is doing it. And I've always said that's like, how can we help push back, maybe start looking at the funding model? Because once again, I don't think the Perth and Smith Falls Hospital is the only one that's having fundraising situations too as well, where to get those things.
It is a struggle. And I mean, it's, you know, how do you fix it higher up than here? Well, right now, I know there was one community that applied for an MRI and they sat down and said, the community said, we just can't sustain it. So David not Gretna, that was in Northern Ontario, but it's one of those, and we were looking at even just our case study that, within our catchment area, if we just look at it, that there's 60,000 people, 60,000 plus. If everyone was able to give $100 over the next 3 years, it's paid for. So it's, it's just kind of thinking about it. It might not have to be right now. It's like I said, it's a 3-year program. Would I like it to be completely wrapped up? Yes. Honestly, yes, it would be great to be able to say, here we go, because we have more asks. So not only are we looking at this ask for the MRI, the foundation also has been asking the hospital with the capital equipment list that we use every day. The equipment that you're walking into the emerge for, everything else, it's a $1.9 million ask. I know that that's a tough ask. That's $4 million a year. That's a tough ask. Our focus right now is on our MRI. We're going to do the best we can to make sure that our community has it and pay for it.
2 more questions.
Sure, I love
Two
questions.
more questions. So I'd say, we had to go out with that. But, has there ever been a thought of, working together with the other 2 hospitals in Lanark, with Belmont and Cole Place, to kind of come together a little bit to say how we can like utilize that together? Because when you think of Ottawa, I mean, like I think they kind of work together, even their big campuses work together.
Sure, and they have different services.
And then have services,
Yeah.
that would be like, like where it's like that maybe, like long-term thinking, big picture thinking of like where, this hospital might be specializing in this hospital, but kind of like the way Ottawa does it per se, but at a smaller scale in our area where the 4 hospitals are working together. Has that ever been sort of, and then even like into campaign together?
I think I can't speak to how the hospital dynamics comes together. I know there's been conversations. I know Cotton Place is working on their emergency room. That's a big development for them. And Elmont is getting a CAT scan with it. So for us, we're the closest for the MRI. Will I be going to those communities and saying, here's an MRI that's close, rather than going to Ottawa and waiting how long, 2 o'clock in the morning, whatever it's going to be? Yes, I am. So the ask will be there out in the community, and we'll be promoting it throughout the catchment area. As far as working together fundraising, we try to do it. We just had a radiothon with our other communities, and it worked really, really well. But as far as logistics hospital wise, I can't speak to that.
Yeah, this big picture.
That's a huge picture,
The next one.
Yeah.
I guess that my other one is like, sort of, what are the big campaigns kind of going on right now as far as, this we kind of maybe advertise it and do it.
For us,
Yeah.
with our MRI.
Well, what, no, not.
Oh,
no,
sorry.
What are the events or things?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
We just finished the radiothon with Lake 88, which is an MRI driven. We have a Black Tide Bingo Gala, which is coming up in November, which is sold out, which makes me happy on that front. What we're trying to do is, because we've got both communities right now, we are focused on a family fun day in the spring in Smith Falls, and a golf tournament that we do. It's going to be in August this year, 2024. We'll do our Black Tie Gala in November this year. 2025, it will be back up to April, so we can get all the done. We have a lot of snowbirds that like to come to that. And we'll also be doing a ladies' night that's coming up in the next little bit. So those, capacity wise, I have 3 lovely women that I work with, and we're stretched with doing what we're doing right now. And if we're going to do it, we want to do it really, really well. And I think we can pull all of those events off, and we're back out. I know we've been trying to get together with the Jennings here all summer, and our schedules didn't last. And then I didn't realize we were at golf tournament. Really, we could have said hello there. So I mean, that's as far as our events go. That's all we're doing. We're going to focus on 4.
More events.
Yeah.
And if you had more volunteers, it'd be fantastic to do.
If we had the capacity to hold things, I mean, we capped out at the Black Tie Bingo Gala. We said 200 because we don't want to do the hall. We're at 228. We can do that by our regulations. We're good. We checked all that out. But that's a lot. That's a lot. So we don't have a facility big enough to do like a sit down. So we work with what we have.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
One more question. just because like, it is a big ask to go to everyone and say, by the way, we're raising your taxes for anything. It doesn't matter whether it's gonna benefit them. It's a big ask because we're very rarely, never are we gonna say, hey, we're giving you tax money back. It's just always gonna be.
Absolutely.
So can I ask why we, like other municipalities do this, and why aren't we looking into like fundraisers, 50/50 raffles or catch the ace raffles? And those are a lot easier to ask, and we can promote those, and those are easier to ask because somebody who may have money can say, hey, I want to buy 2 tickets, where it's easier to get more money from specific individuals without hitting everybody up for the money at same.
I appreciate that. We do have a 50/50. See, you take it for granted. We do, the hustle does have a 50/50 monthly. All the time. So it's online. You have to do it according to the gaming commission. So it's online. Happy to send information, happy for you to share it. Happy to look at if you have any ideas for a third party event. We're happy to come help you with a skating thing or whatever, if the funds are coming back. We're open to any suggestions, any way we can get you involved with this campaign. Happy to do it. So I mean, there are other alternatives in doing that. I will qualify my ask. I do have, well, I only have one husband. Just, you know, but he sits on Tay Valley Township too. So we've got the dynamic of, you know, how can, you know, the money's and everything else. I understand that. And then it's kind of when I come back with comments like, what happens if we don't do the fundraising and we don't have the money? How are the residents going to feel when we don't have a hospital? That's worst case scenario. It's never going to happen. But sometimes he asks me questions like, and I'm just thinking, really, it's a great question. And this is the reason why we do what we do. So, it's tricky, and I don't envy you your jobs at all to do that, because that's exactly it we are asking. And, you know, I guess it comes down to more education within the municipality about why it is important for your residents to feel that they can support and how can they be part of this campaign. And I'm more than happy to, I'm excited about this campaign, and I think it's one that's going to benefit everybody. So I'm happy anytime you need me to come for a coffee, I'm more than happy to do that and speak to any of your committees. I'd be more than happy to.
So I'm touching on your 50/50 vote. Your 50/50 isn't you're just for the MRI though, is it?
What we're trying to do, because we have the other component of raising other funds for different departments and whatever, what we try to do is each month we change it to a different piece of equipment. So once that piece of equipment is paid for, we go on to something else. We are just in the process of renewing that license for 2024. So it's not necessarily just for the MRI. Thank you. Yeah.
I think like again, I'm just speaking from being able a sales pitch point of view. It's a lot easier for me to convince people to buy tickets and have a chance at maybe winning $1.
Sure.
Than for me to go and say, hey, buy me a coffee.
Well, you know, and I think, you know what, that's a really great way of looking at it. I absolutely, you know, I don't disagree with you. Any way that we can possibly reinforce the fact that there's a need, there's always going to be a need. But it, again, it is what that individual is comfortable doing. You know, so sometimes even, you know, we've had the opposite where I would sooner just give you the $20 because I get a tax receipt. On the 50/50, you don't get a tax receipt. So it's a, you know, and for businesses, that's a big thing, you know, for individuals, it's a big thing too. So I mean, there are different alternatives that you can look at when you're doing, you know, doing different projects. And we try to think of them all. You get really excited when we start thinking that we can't do them all at once. So I'm always happy for feedback.
Would you, you're asking for 60,000, would you take any kind of a donation?
I would take anything.
To council?
If you
May
have,
not be able to come up with that, like budget goals and that. If something was to come along.
I think, you know what, I think I would welcome the fact that you value the importance of this, and that is sole decision of council to decide what you can and make it a lot better for your residents for sure. It was, I had to start somewhere, you know, it was, when I kind of started to do the math, it was, okay, can you do, you know, you break it down to $5 a year. But absolutely, you know, it's one of those situations where you've got a lot on your time, you know, on your lines to kind of balance and everything else along that to get your budget to where you need it to be.
So I just wanted to recap, so you are coming to the municipalities that didn't donate to the hospital side.
Yes, because I believe the presentation in the past was for core capital. So I'm not doing that. I'm doing this separate strictly just for the MRI project, for the folks that have not committed. Because there are some municipalities, and Allison, I didn't bring my notes, but I know Michael provided you the municipalities that are part of that campaign
For the court,
for the core.
yes.
For the core. So with this, it is just for the next 3 years. And I would like to come back, but, you know, it's one of those scenarios where we're not going to ask you for this and then go and ask. We're not presenting to the county. We're only presenting to the folks that aren't. And really, you know, in all fairness, it is an ask, because that's my job. And it's more of the awareness. How can we work with you to get that awareness out? And, you know, we're really trying to get into the schools and explain it. This isn't, you know, for them, it's like, you know, they like the fire trucks and everything else that happens, but how can we make it work? We had a great turnout for Family Fun Day in May. We did have the fire trucks. And the kids liked it, but I mean, it's just, we have, you know, we're starting now to look at the younger families moving in. And saying, you know what, this is great, we have the emergency room, we have the facilities that we need, we have the docs. We're attracting new doctors coming to the area. So, I mean, it's one of those things, it's just the awareness, it's just getting out there and finding any way that we can. And then it's up to the individual, if they want to donate more, that's great.
And I had a resident reach out to me and maybe you can clarify a little bit. So the question was, if we don't have to have an ambulance take a patient to a location that has an MRI, the cost savings of not having to send that ambulance, does that come back to the hospital at all?
What a great question.
Can I get back to you on that one? I don't have the answer because I don't work in that department. Huh, never thought of that. I don't know. I'm gonna go with that. I have an idea, but I'm gonna get the information for you.
No.
I have one question, I'm sorry, what happens if, they aren't able to pay for it after 3 years?
Oh, we go in depth.
Okay, so they don't take it away.
They're not taking it away.
Okay.
My goodness, no, there was too much work that went into it. So, yeah, no more holes in the walls and displacement of workers up onto other floors. It is there. What happens is the hospital ends up looking after that debt, which means we are now fundraising. Our job for fundraising is still trying to get out of that debt and not getting equipment that we actually essentially need after this fact. So it's there. It's staying, which is why it would be fabulous to have it. You know, I'm sure someone's out there listening, you know, that won $6 million somewhere and they're like, hey, what a great place to put their money. But we would have to eat up the cost. Thank you. I very much appreciate your time. Thanks, Allison. You've been great. We'll push it one more time and then I can let you get to business. Thanks for the mic.
We have no report of municipal reports of committee. Moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Deputy Reid Carroll, that council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of October 3, 2023, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? Carried. Petitions and bylaws. Moved by Deputy Reid Carroll, seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4016-2023, a bylaw to amend bylaw 2352-1997, entitled a bylaw to provide for the naming and renaming of streets within the township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed, the 17th day of October, 2023. All in favor? Carried. We have moved by Councillor Abbas, second by Councillor Crabtree, that bylaw 4017-2023, a bylaw to authorize the registration of a site plan agreement with Steve Robert Darling and Jamie Lynn Garrick, the owners of property described as part of Lot 8, Concession 9, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, being Part 4 and 27R-6200, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, signed, and sealed the 17th day of October, 2023. All in favor? Carried. We have no motion, notice of motion. Action items. So let's point to be unfinished or other business.
I do it a little bit. I just wanted to give a quick update just to council and see from some of our county stuff, and we did have some interesting ones that actually came up from our last county meeting. I just wanted to make aware of. The first one is real quick. I just wanted it's a highlight more about Lanark County's center delegation. So basically, we just came to talk about the different centers that we have around. We have one in Swiss Falls that our residents use too as well, which is a big one. Basically after school programs and everything else. Just to touch on that, they were kind of talking about, the successes and how many children they feed after school, which is, and send food home with and everything that they do. So I think it's one of those things also when we see Big Brothers Big Sisters come and they do their ask for donations that we do every year. There's a massive benefit that we see from our own residents. We also support from the county too as well, but it's one of those community driven things that is a big benefit that we see for those, especially for those children that are in a more marginalized or different socioclass, I guess you could say, that need that support. And one of my lines too as well when I was talking about it and congratulating them at the county meeting was they see a lot of those kids that this is their only extracurricular activity. This is where they go. And I think that's a big bonus. So I think it was a big win. It was nice to have them there and to talk to us. And it's something that's very valuable to our community members too as well. Another one that we talked about too as well, the county council, and I had the privilege of reading this at county council too as well, was declaring World Homeless Day promulgation also in Lanark County. I think one of the biggest things is sometimes we don't always see that in Lanark County, but we talk about it is that, and one of in the proclamation was that we serve 289 people in Lanark County that experiences homelessness. So I don't know if we realize that sometimes I don't think people see that we have that homelessness issue, even in Lanark County. And just what our team at the social service department is trying to work at, and for them to be able to realize there's 289 people, the work that they put into to recognize where these people are, what they're doing, and how that we can hopefully get them out of homelessness is no small feat. So I think it's one of those things where it's, we hear about it in the big cities and everything else. It is still an issue in Lanark County. And I think it's one of those ones that, it's well aware that our local municipality should be well aware of that too as well. The last one I want to just touch on real quick is that we're going into budget time for the county. And I just want to pull up, and we had lots of discussions about what the council priorities are. So I encourage it if everybody wants to look at those, but I mean, we have those down. We have, as we go into budget, what that's going to look like. And some of our big priorities are workforce attraction. So making sure that we're looking at ways of keeping our people and finding people to work, not at the county, but also that's working in the municipality level too as well. Right now, we're pretty fortunate with the amazing staff that we do have. But we've gone through in my short time, and I think Jim could probably talk about it in his times in the past too, as well as that those times of trying to find people and everything else. We're going to try. One of the biggest things in the county is what we're looking at is how can we do I don't want to say global reach, but a more provincial or national reach to see how we can attract more people to come to this area, especially in municipal world. So I think that's a nice one. We're looking at Lanark Lodge, making sure that we have it. That's one of our biggest ones. That's one of our seniors homes that we take care of. The planning department, which Kirsten has made a big upgrade to our township, not to be disrespectful to our past, but I mean, it's really cleaned up, and having somebody here has been a big deal. But there's a lot of work going into changing and making the planning department a lot more fluid and better. And I think that's one of the big priorities that we're gonna be looking at the county too as well. And Christian's had some great feedback too as well, that has been very useful, as we've been going through that process too as well. Making sure we continue with our trails, looking at municipal shared services. So once again, too, as well as that, as we look at what our struggles are, if we are able to share services, like some of the building stuff, if there was or animal control or bylaw services, as if we struggle with certain ideas, we might be looking at how we can do that. Continue with the cell internet, just advocating to make sure we're getting it done. Our climate and environmental, that mostly dealing with invasive species, and protecting biodiversity in the county, making sure we're doing that. Our focus on social housing, there's been a great uptick, and we're doing our best as far as dealing with social housing. I think the county deals with as landlords or as part of 580 or 540 different units. So once again, we deal with a lot of that housing in the county too as well, which is once again, we have some in Longview too as well. So it's interesting. The hospital funding is a big one. So the hospital funding, there's a big give from the county right now. I forget what the value is. I think it's 300 and something thousand. I think it's around that is what they're, I think it's football man that one right now. Working on our asset management plan, which is a big thing that we're doing here at the, so we recognize that we want to make sure that stays up because once again, the county, I think, looks at they have like 400 and some million dollars worth of assets that we want to make sure that we're maintaining and turning over, and we're doing a good job here. I think we can attest to that with our staff, is making sure that we have good timelines and it's the most fiscally smart responsible way of doing it. And roadside safety is another big one too as well that we talked about. So anyways, I just want to touch on that real quick, and that's what we're going into with the county. So thanks, guys.
Anybody have for unfinished business other business? Okay. I'll open it now for any questions from the public.
I have one comment. On the hospital funding. First of all, I don't agree that it should be added to our tax bill. I think if anybody wants to donate to the hospital, you can make a donation, you get a tax receipt, especially the businesses. But when you're talking about homelessness, you keep upping the taxes, you're gonna put more people out of their homes because they can't afford to pay their taxes. So you're defeating it if you ever add it to our taxes just to give money to the hospital. You are gonna put somebody out of their house, maybe not this year, but maybe next year. Consider it that way, look at it that way. But I'm sure. I do not agree with the taxpayers' money going to the hospital. Thank you.
Anything online?
Nothing.
I have nothing.
Sorry, yes.
I agree with that too, though a suggestion I would have is maybe through, like, we set different events at the Rosedale Hall. So maybe in one of those events, we could do something to try to help fundraise, like put it out there that the hospital needs the money for this and make them aware as we're doing something. So maybe some of that money that is funded for that can just go straight to the hospital instead of actually put it in my taxes or something like that, because I don't think that's helping anything on top of just the expenses that everybody incurs already.
Well, keep that. So I already made a note that it's gonna come up at our rec meeting.
I figured probably.
Yeah,
Do you have anything online?
I do know.
Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny, that bylaw 4018-2023, a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on Tuesday, October 17th, 2023, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 17th day of October 2023. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Deputy Reed Carroll, that council adjourn the regular meeting of October 17th, 2023 at 6:47 p.m. until November 7th, 2023 at 6 p.m. or at the call of the chair. All in favor? That's carried.
And welcome back to our committee of the whole meeting. So I'd like to open the meeting with our land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the township of Montague is now located. This meeting is being held as the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Nishnawbe Nation. Adoption of the agenda, so moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree that the committee of the whole agenda dated October 17, 2023 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? It's very. You can vote disclosure of interest, they can now or later, with no delegations. And our first report of this officers, I'm assuming we're doing or are we going through them at all? The water report. It's there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm assuming there's no question on the water report. So we'll just moved by Councillor Crabtree, seconded by Councillor Kenny, that the council accepts the third quarter water report presented to the state as information. All in favor? The next one is the planning report. Kirsten, did you have any fire? Sorry. Person wait.
Yeah.
It was important. So I would say, the fire report, is any questions on that at all? Okay, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Reeve Jennings, that council accepts the third quarter fire report presented to state as information. All in favor? Carried.
I think, can I just say, I think that, if you see the number of community events that they've done in that one quarter, it's exceptional. Our fire department does get out there and they assist our other groups as well, so I just want to give kudos, to fire. Their Thursday night garden has been great over at Rosedale. You know, they were involved in our Canada Day, their pit barbecue, they raised $3,000 for their boot drive. I just think they were part of Mighty Machines. I just think that it needs to be acknowledged that, again, that's all volunteer time for them to do all those community events.
Thank you also. Yeah, you're 100% right. I mean, like the green events they do, the amount of calls that they've had to go well to, like the increase in calls too as well. I mean, Chief Career and his amazing, massive group of volunteers, which is huge. Is they're second to none. They're the best in our county. So who's that? Thanks, Allison. We know that too as well. The third quarter planning report. Does Kirsten have anything sort of highlights or anything else? Not really. A little slower, but not. But we'll anticipate. But she's been busy doing a lot of other stuff, which is fantastic. But we're going to see some of that too as well.
I'm just gonna comment on that, Chair, if you don't mind. So the numbers, but the amount of phone calls that Kirsten gets that are not recorded here, just so everybody knows, she does get a lot of phone calls, probably more than all of us, or any other position. So maybe the numbers are low, because she did say that even putting in a report, she's like, oh, it doesn't look like I did much. She has been doing substantial and taking lots of phone calls. So also good job, Kirsten.
I can vouch for the emails that she's addressing and telephone calls, because I've been following up as well. So, and I appreciate you getting back to me. Thank you.
I think that's exactly it. Like I said, like the numbers are low there, but I think that's just the what's coming is next. So I'd say, yeah.
Tip of the iceberg, as it were.
Exactly, yeah. So there's no question, sitting up here at this council that Kirsten is not doing a awesome kind of job. So moved by Reeve Jennings, and I'll take it and move on. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bassett. The council accepts the third quarter planning report presented to state as information. All in favor? The septic report is a septic report. We really need to talk anymore, but so it's good. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. Council accept the third quarter septic report presented to state's information. All in favor? Yes.
I would like to just add one quick thing about the septic program, that the health unit is officially done with all septic files. So they are going to be transferring the last bit of information to us by the end of this month. People who have outstanding files have been notified. Some permits have been revoked due to inactivity. And yeah, we're basically on our own moving forward. the health unit's always there as a resource, but they're not looking after any files any longer.
Fantastic. Next, now we're through our,
We're on junior planner, site plan control. B.
oh. Thank you, Councilor Campbell.
Okay, do I need it or?
Mr. Steve will take care of that for you.
Sir? Wow, you like moved it from gentlemen. Okay, so there's a report before you this evening with respect to site plan control. So this report is dual purpose. Number one, I sort of wanted it to be clear to you that in the world of planning, the rules change quite frequently. And just when you think you've got it all nailed down, they change the rules again. So this report sort of gives a little bit of historical information with respect to bills and legislation passed in the last couple of years, mostly related to the push for more housing, which is something that is a concern and something that Montague Township is very supportive of development. One of the planning tools that was taken from municipalities during all of these passages of bills over the last couple of years related to site plan control. So they took the ability for site plan control for residential development under 10 units away from municipalities. And site plan control is a very valuable tool. It is a planning application under the Planning Act. After some consideration, they have added back into the fold that we can require site plan control for residential development under 10 under certain circumstances. One of them being if the property is within 300 meters of a railway line, or within 120 meters of a wetland or a water course. It doesn't mean necessarily that if a property is within 300 meters of a railway or within 120 meters of water course or wetland that a site plan is going to be required, but it is a possibility. And every application that would come through would be evaluated on its own merits. So attached to this report is an all-encompassing site plan control bylaw. So there was the original one from 2014. There was an amendment from 2022 that amended another site plan bylaw. So this one here would sort of be one site plan bylaw. It's nice to not have to refer to a core bylaw and then a bunch of amendments to that bylaw. So the bylaw that is attached to this report is a draft proposal for consideration by council. It would come back to another meeting for passage. That kind of is the most current and accurate information for situations that we have the ability to require site plan. So I will open it up for questions if anyone has any.
I'll turn it to council. Is council have any questions at all? Sorry. Go.
This is, like I said, cleaned up version, what once was.
Mhm.
Perfect. Okay, thanks, Griffin. By Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny, the council directs staff to bring forth an amended site plan control bylaw to the November 7th, 2023 council meeting as per the draft bylaw presented to state. All in favor? Thank you, and this is Dr. Kirsten again about some information happens for anything, but
Okay, so as Allison alluded to earlier, even if the application numbers are low and the revenue isn't high, there are a lot of conversations taking place in my office with people who some just looking for information with respect to processes. And I had been asked by Allison, with respect to the council task sheet to prepare a pamphlet or brochure, however you would like to refer to it. It's attached to this report, and the intention is to be very general, to give information with respect to the most common or frequently applied for applications or planning services. To sort of advise as to who the authority is that would be looking after that, because we do get a lot of questions. I'll use the example of severances where people think that we're the ones that make the decision. And so this sort of clarifies that while we're part of the process, we're not the ultimate approval authority. So with respect to the applications themselves, the approval authority is noted, and then it's a very general, a perfect world steps from beginning to end as to what someone could anticipate. Obviously, there are files that are more complex and might require a little bit more work. There might be some that are a little bit simpler, but those are basically the minimum number of steps that you're going to have to achieve. We also wanted to make sure in this information package to emphasize the value of zoning compliance reports. I do know that title insurance is something that is available to people when they purchase properties, but if you're someone that's looking at a property and you have a specific vision in mind for what you would like to do with it, it's $50 for a report that's going to be comprehensive. You can ask questions that might be above and beyond what is listed in the report. We'll be able to give you information that might be what decides whether or not you purchase that property, if it's suitable for your needs, as opposed to buying something and then being disappointed that you can't, for example, have livestock because you don't have enough acreage, or you can't have a commercial business because of location, for example. There's just lots of different scenarios. So each one is looked at, and the value of a zoning compliance report can't be emphasized enough. Also, as part of the brochure, we've got another insertion that would have the planning fees, the current township planning fees. There was some conversation with respect to including fees from the county as well as RVCA, but those can change, they can fluctuate depending on, when they review them. So providing the link for those fees on their websites would be a part of the planning fee schedule. But as always, I'm happy to print that off for someone if they're not able to get that themselves. So this is just my version of the information that I'm most often asked for. But I'm always willing to accept comments or critiques or areas for improvement if you think there's something that's lacking on there that should be added. So I will open it up to you.
Thank you, Kristen. That's I think this is going to be a valuable tool. I'll open up any questions from council at all. Good. See none, lots of positivity. I think one big thing that sticks out for me, and this is something that we make sure that we put in our top 5 too as well, with the consultation side of it. And I think that's evident on step 1 of all 3 right across the board. And that sort of sets it home. I guess we want to really try to communicate as best as possible. But we can sort of allude that to as well with some people that she's talking to the public. And I know when I do that, when I'm talking to the public, it's like I'm thinking about doing this, like, you need to do is go talk to Kirsten, have a sit down with her, and we can walk you through that beginning process to kind of see how that looks. So I think that pre-consultation is a big part. Hopefully we're going to see it as sort of a mandatory thing, but I like that how we're putting it out there saying do that first, so we can try to alleviate the surprises as we go forward. I think that's the biggest takeaway that I take from this, and then overall I think it's a great piece of information for people as they go.
Yeah, so the intention with this pamphlet as well is it's not at this point going to be a mail out that would go with the tax bill, but it would be something that would be available at the front counter if someone wants to come in and pick up an application. And it'll also be put on the planning page, sort of as the cover all document to kind of explain everything. There is I think, some good information on our page, and maybe it does need to be reviewed and maybe could potentially need to be updated and you know, made a little bit clearer, but this here, I think, is a more all-encompassing document, so it sort of explains most things. But I'm always here for questions if people have them, so.
That's great, Kirsten. Look forward to some of your input on how we can fix the website as well. That you said.
I'm saying, glad though that you don't respond to 2 a.m.
Oh, do I get to AM questions?
From me emailing you.
Oh.
You said you're always here.
Not into.
That's
Yeah.
It's here from 8:30.
Well, and one of the other tasks that the planning department is looking at is making our forms more accessible. We're gonna have, our PDFs will be fillable forms as well, for both the planning and the septic program. It serves multiple purposes. One of them is legibility.
Yeah.
But it's also easier, I think, for some people to be able to talk about that. So lots of little things that we're working on to make it a better experience for everyone.
That's a great idea, because it's hopefully we move towards a more digital format as well. Uploading, we could be moving a step in that right direction as well. So I think that's a great initiative. So fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
So moved by Councilor Kenny and second by Marie Jennings, that the council receives a planning department information pamphlet report as information. All in favor? Carried. Next up is our public works manager, Steve, about the third quarter of public works. Is there anything that you wanted to touch on about that? I know you're busy doing the technical details with there, so let's say that.
Busy guy.
You're a busy guy.
No, it was a fantastic quarter. There's a lot going on. Our guys were extremely busy and they've done a fantastic job this quarter, getting a lot done and helping out with, I know fire does a lot, but public works employees behind the scenes, they did quite a bit as well. So kudos to my crew out there. They helped out on the township as well. So just want to give them some recognition as well. This never a slow day for us. So let's keep plugging along.
Yeah, a couple points that obviously, I mean, like the public works guys, obviously helping out with the mighty machines, having those beautiful pieces of some of that new equipment that we have too as well, to showcase that what we have, and then they're supporting that too as well. Everything they've done at Rosedale Hall too as well to help them with that. Those are like kind of above and beyond the great work they're doing on our roads too as well. And I think our roads too as well. I've seen some benefits. Obviously, what extra money we're putting into it, and it's being used well to try to maintain, like, even when we drive, yes, there's potholes in our roads, but overall, when you drive around other roads in Leonard County, and I'll pick on our friends on the other side and the Mead side that have rougher roads, so I think it's quite good. A couple points I'd like on this too, as well as like looking at some of the safety concerns that we have, like doing the chevrons on some of our roads too, as well, looking at the safety concerns. So I think that's great that we're looking at that. You made the point about the recycling part of it too, as well. We're doing our best to try to communicate and to let people know. But it's really not in the municipality's hands anymore. But I know you're feeling the questions and you're doing your best to try to like guide people that way too as well. And if there's any support the council can give to make sure that we can help with that, we'd love to hear from it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing on that is just reiterating that the contract is not held by the township. Really, it's our hands are tied on how much we can really do, but I mean, we are here to kind of help out, and we're not getting any more answers than residents are when they're calling. We are trying ourselves. It's not like we're just taking complaints and not doing anything. We're trying to call. It's frustrating already. I do understand, but we are trying as a township to support our residents, but at the end of the day, they really don't have to held accountable from our end, no contract.
Do we have a list of, like, are we writing down when we're getting the complaints, or we're just saying this is where it's going? Because I guess what my question would be is our step would be from us to say on behalf of our residents to go to say our MPP and say, hey, like, you know, it's great that this is transitioned over. This is sort of like the complaints that we're getting to make sure that, you know, we're traveling up the other avenue to help.
Yeah, I think we do our best to track the complaints we get, but I wouldn't be, you know, I can't say for sure everyone is tracked.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
But it's on recycling, even the days before, after, mostly the day after, we are getting multiple calls, and I know our Facebook page has been handled with quite a few as well, and it's kind of, it's not like it's a couple, it's many, but again, it's not just Montague, it is anybody that has transitioned that's being felt across. It's frustrating for everybody, no matter where you are, you know.
Yeah, doing a good job for it, so I'd say,
One quick question, what's your recommendation as far as, just put it out at 7, leave it out till 9 and give them that as much opportunity, because I think what's happening on some of them is they're expecting it to be picked up by the time they get home and they're frustrated, they grab it, they put it back, and then you see the truck by like an hour later, so
Yeah, so
is that the window? Sorry.
I think following our bylaw is what every resident should do, is definitely, you know, have it out before 7 AM, not too early, not the night before. Whatever, 7 o'clock or something, but have it out early, keep it out, you know, before you go to bed or whatever, go check if it's pitch dark out, they're most likely not coming through, but its pickup times are going to be different than what was completed in the past. I believe there may be shortage of collectors for them, that, so their collection times are taking longer, and I think they're trying different routes. So I mean, even since transition, your pickup times may be different, so just kind of hold it out, and if it's not picked up, all we can do is keep calling, and you can call our MPP as well, right? And that's kind of another contact to go to see if he can at least hold them accountable, so. Yeah, that's kind of.
Thank you, I just wanted to, like, I know that it's not being consistent, and that it's being picked up, at least where I've seen it, just the times have varied, so I just wanted to be able to at least put out that information, to say, you know, they're figuring their stuff out right now, and hopefully they get it all figured out.
Yeah, we're very fortunate with our waste collector contract we have. They seem to do a fantastic job. And
spot on, yeah.
I'm very fortunate with the contracts we do have.
It is, yeah, it's good that our number one complaint is, the mobile works right now seems to be the one that we have no control over. It's not our thing, so. One other point I had to as well was the, and I think this is kind of interesting, because it's something we bought into as well, and we want to make sure like we're showing the value of utilizing the mesh for pavement condition index to have an up-to-date data for current and future road maintenance planning, right treatment at right time. Can you just expand a little bit on that if you
Yeah,
want?
absolutely. It's kind of, I guess, my little nerdy side of and all the technology. So what it is using the mesh, which you'll see in the budget line. It can be initially it's more expensive, but it digitalizes everything that we do in the road. So like I put in a report, our lead hand, who is very not tech savvy, has been utilizing it. And that has been a great asset for him to kind of collect data on what he's seeing on his road patrols and have all this information digitalized and submitted to myself. And then he sends all that back to the guy. So that's kind of the work order side of it is fantastic. And then for the CPI, that's basically where I go out doing measurements, looking at the cracking, on high level terms, it's kind of the cracking, wheel rutting, and I put all this information into the system. It runs some numbers and it gives it back to me. Once we get all of this information in there, it'll give us lots of statistics that will go along with our asset management plan. And that will actually can save us money when it comes back to doing our roads lease study, because I'm going to have a lot of this information already done in-house, and they'll take that and compare it to their data. So we're getting a lot of, the more data we put in these plans, the better. And it just kind of helps my decisions when we're moving forward and bringing information to council, be more data driven than opinionated kind of data.
That's great, because this is a massive change from 5, 6, 7 years ago. Was where we didn't have road counts, we didn't do that. We were guesstimating, we had a road need study that was sort of vague. We're really starting to narrow things down, which I think is like, if you are saying, what are we doing about our roads? I mean, you just hit it like right there, as far as the ways that we're trying to do the improvements, or trying to do all of the things within that same budgetary sort of constraints that we've always had. So I just want to bring that up, because I think that's valid points as far as what we're trying to move forward. So kudos to that. And the last point, public works staff have a very busy but enjoyable third quarter. I like that last point. So that's great. Thanks, Steve. Oh, that's
Yeah, I was gonna brag about Public Works too, but Steve got there first. So again, they volunteered their time, helped out at community events. They do a great job. We're getting everything ready for our winter season, which hopefully comes sooner than later. And so I just want to say they do a great job. They've done a great job. They, again, team players, they kind of get pulled wherever we might need them as well. from rec or helping at Rosedale and all those good things as well. So they put up all the new signs, which look lovely. So just, yeah, kudos out to really all staff, but, Steve went there first. And to Steve as well.
Steve, what else? So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bass, that council accepts the third quarter public works update presented to the state and commission. All in favor? And what else would you want?
Nothing, thank you, Chair, nothing too crazy here. We're still relatively lower than previous years. Our water with the weekend hours tends to show as if we have more overtime. But really it's mostly towards that water and it's usually used as time off. So nothing too crazy. If anything, our overtime for public works has decreased due to the change in what we did last for 2023 with the budget and having some casual on-call operators to help with those big snow events. So it not only reduces overtime, it also gets us to the roads quicker. So it's a great thing, and management encourages staff to use their overtime as time off because everybody needs time away. So I'm sitting in a good position as far as that goes, and I don't have any concerns with the budget.
For you also, I think we're managing our staff and our hours quite well. So that's good. Any questions on that at all? See none. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree. Council accepts the third quarter staff overtime report presented to the state as a condition. All in favor? We have the budgetary controls. Allison, do you have anything to touch on that?
Thank you, Chair. No major concerns, to be honest, at this point in time with being through 3 quarters of the year. Again, we're looking at potentially, like right now, we're anticipating a surplus. Everything's been relatively running smoothly for this year, knock on wood. And yeah. So no concerns at this time. There are a couple items there that I've highlighted that maybe seem a little out of the normal. The coverall tarp, obviously, I believe it's to be replaced next week. So you will see that it's ripped substantially since it's come to council, so it does need to be done. We anticipate we're gonna have a surplus to fund that. Again, going out to tender early on a lot of items has led to a good budgetary position at this time.
Thank you, Allison. Is there any questions from council at all? Steve. Once again, kudos to our management, kudos to our staff, obviously, for managing the budget that we've set forth and keeping it where it needs to be, and also as the surprises have come up, as we know, we're trying to get in the right direction. So that's fantastic. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny. The council receives the budgetary control report as September 30th, 2023 as information. All in favor? This one else, again, new capital projects.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Most of the capital projects have been completed. If the funding is not necessarily all included, it's just that we're just timing of invoices compared to completion. The tandem plow, obviously, will be receiving next year. It'll be on the 2024 budget with the use of reserves is already approved by council. A lot of our grant items are finishing up, other than our senior community grant. That's ongoing until March. Our OTF, the Rosedale's done, our CCRF, so the other Rosedale, the generator, all that's done. Our ISIP, I have been in contact with the feds and they said that we are still good for the funding for the flooring and the doors, which you'll notice that the doors have been replaced, but we don't have the push buttons on. I think that's next week. So we're just finishing up some of those things. We were provided notice that we didn't get the FCC Agri Spirit for the new kitchen ovens, industrial sink, and those type of things over at Rosedale. We'll continue to apply for future funding for that, but overall, we're sitting in a strong financial position as far as the capital grant.
Thank you also. That's good. going through and doing a lot of stuff over the last little while, so I'd say, it's great. Getting all that done. I guess, sorry, Steve, one quick question, I guess I would have had for, after we did, the micro servicing of our roads. I think we get painted before, the line painting before winter, or is that something that's?
Something I've been working on,
Okay.
our line painting contractor is quite far away. So we're waiting to hear back and they'll be in this area again, due to the delay in getting it done has really caused us to be behind on that. So I cannot guarantee this time that it will get done, but it would certainly be temporary, for a small balance on there, just so people can see center, but I can't guarantee that we'll have it.
Do we think that's gonna, that micro resurfacing was, like, we did that with the county, so everybody was waiting for that. I remember presenting with the county, like, that was the last thing they were waiting for. So is that, do you think they get all of those roads, or is that, are we working with Sean and all to say?
Our contractor is different than the county, which has
Oh, okay.
pricing than the county. So, I mean, I guess I could talk to Sean about that, I just can't guarantee what our pricing would be on, hiring their contractor this time of year, but that's kind of situation with that.
And we have money left over in that line as far as line painting goes?
If we're pretty well, I think
What's
in that one, we should be within like $200.
So it's pretty well tapped out for it too as well.
Yeah, I think if our contractor would have been there for that main line painting, we would have been right on budget.
Okay.
If we were to mobilize a full crew, we're probably going to be able to.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Any other questions? All for the council? See another one. So moved by Councilor Kenny and seconded by Reeve Jennings, that council accepts the 2023 capital works and grant projects update report presented to state as information. All in favor? And last, we have the procurement policy update draft. Ralph.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you this evening is the procurement policy. We've done a review in the sense, I believe that there were some amendments done in 2021 to the 2014 bylaw. The numbers as far as the procurement method requirements are very low. So basically for a direct purchase, we can only direct purchase if it's $2,000 or less. We're asking that be bumped to $10,000. Prime example is the new aluminum rolling door over at Rosedale. That was a $3,000 door. So I had to try and get 3 written quotes to purchase that when it's something that is pretty minor in the grand scheme of things to do a direct purchase for $3,000. Informal quotation. So we're looking to remove verbal quotation right out of it. None of us go off of verbal quotations. We all ask for some kind of written quotation. So to remove the option to even receive a verbal quotation and just have the written quotations changing from the 2 to 30,000 from 10 to 75,000. Prime example of that for us was the half ton, the black Dodge that we purchased. Council had approved us to go ahead and just get quotations as opposed to going to tender. We got a truck with a lot more options for less money than our neighboring municipalities who had to go to tender. So I think that there's benefits to changing this, that we're gonna potentially get better value for less dollars whenever we have these additional options. Again, these are items that are all approved for in budget. And if there's any additional costs, it comes back for council approval as far as that goes. And then it just then changes everything down the line. So the request for quotation, which would be publicly published, would be changed from 30 to no greater than 100 to 75, no greater than 150. And then changing the RFP or the request for proposal for greater than 100, from greater than 100 to greater than 150. And advertising for pre-qualified process for anything over 50 as opposed to 10,000. So some of those things are like our engineering, where we work with several different groups that basically meet the pre-qualifications of what we're looking for, that we can directly send it out to them and request for quote, because again, they've worked with the municipality in the past and we usually receive more competitive pricing because of that. So this is more so in the sense that it's, for us, we feel, and it's not just, we're not trying to be lazy or not do the documentation to do the RFPs and the tenders, but it is a lot of work to do those paperwork for something with $30,000. As opposed to doing the 3 written quotes. If we can even receive 3 written quotes at this time. The pandemic has really changed the market and supply and demand and all those types of things. We feel like this would be a more efficient route and potentially what we've seen over the last year that we have received better pricing than our neighboring municipalities who stick to the tender process. So we still have the tender process, but we're changing those dollar values to be more reflective of today's market as opposed to 2014.
Any questions from council further? Yes.
So for everybody at home, this is basically just streamlining it and bumping up the numbers that are there to numbers that are of today's value, not the past value. So all we're doing is basically the same as what we would have done in 2014.
Yeah, and I think like a big component, I'm just using the half ton as an easy one first to use. Previously, the half tons, when a municipality provided the RIN number, the province had a program where municipalities received a better price than somebody off the street. They removed that program. So now we actually tend to pay more if we go through the tender process because we are a municipality. So we can't go and get that better pricing on something that's a demo with 1,000 kilometers on it. So as soon as it's a demo with 1,000 kilometers, we don't pay extra being a municipality. If we have to tender, we don't have those options, or maybe not the same options as working with a dealership. So there's just those things that we are trying to get the best dollar for the best service for the ratepayers in today's market. And our bylaw still in 2014 as far as dollar values.
Great explanation. I think we're getting the value, the best value out there. We're not, we're not sole sourcing. We're not like only picking one. We're still getting the quotes. We're still getting the best pricing. We're looking at there. It's just finding a better way to get the better pricing.
And the staff has been very transparent. They're showing off all the quotes, they're showing the numbers. So it's not, like you said, there's no backdoor deal. It's here's the numbers, and this is when we went, this is why we went there.
So I think that's exactly it. Yeah. So it's and these are all like budgeted, like I think Allison said, these are all budgeted, approved. We're just trying to find the best way of making sure it's the most cost effective doing it. I mean, just like going in early to get our gravel tenders, which are, we're getting better pricing by doing this more efficient way of doing things. We're saving money and getting a better service. I think it's great. Any other questions at all?
Reeve Jennings, I'll just bring up Reeve Jennings have brought up section 4.3B, so the insurance minimums, 3, to change it to a 5 million homeowners liability policy for anybody leasing of the facilities. So yeah, I don't see any issues with that, so we'll bring that back. Whenever we bring the bylaw, that will be changed to a 5 million, just so everybody's aware. It's an increased insurance minimum. I think that was the only feedback that I have received as far as making big changes. We have nobody currently leasing our facilities. Our rentals are through an insurance side, but in the event that we ever do have a leaser of our facility, though, it's important we have that in place.
Thank you. Any other questions? Seeing none, so moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bass. The council approved the procurement policy presented this date. The council directs staff to include the bylaw to approve the procurement policy on November 7th meeting. All in favor? That's carried. We have no reports of committees, no petitions, no motions, no unfinished business. Before we have any adjourned, any questions from the audience or online? You just saying that.
I have nothing.
We have nothing.
Nothing.
Last chance. The little one says they can talk more. So moved by Councillor Bass. We'll finish this up. Councillor Crabtree, the council committee of the whole meeting for October 17th, 2023 now be adjourned at 7:31 p.m. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Really good meeting, good discussions, and we will see everyone again in a couple weeks.